I was up one night, it was about 2 in the morning, I think, and I couldn't sleep. I'd been thinking about the same thing for weeks, and I thought, I need to count sheep or do something that will, help me fall asleep. So I set myself a challenge. Instead of counting sheep, I'd set myself a challenge to try and dream up something that would be a valuable business that I could then, maybe in the future go and do, or just even an interesting idea that I could, say that I dreamt it up. So I was thinking about inventing a product. So what kind of product, that millions of people could potentially want to buy, and yet something that would be ubiquitous and would add some value to the world. And I thought, this was I think this was about 2003, mid-2003, and social networks and social networking was kind of evolving. There was photo sharing, there was all sorts of blogs and things emerging. And I thought it'd be really interesting if there was a business card that was for this generation, for the kind of the internet generation, particularly younger people. So I had this kind of, epiphany. It would be really interesting to create a business, create a product that was, kind of a personal business card for your kind of virtual identity to express it. Something that wasn't about your employer, but was about you and what you were into. So that was really the genesis of the idea, all way back when. The first thing I did was I told my dad, actually, I was like, this is a fun idea, what do you think about this? And I can't actually remember what he said. I'm sure he said something encouraging. He was one of the few people that said anything encouraging at the time. And I just wrote it down. I mean, that was the first most important thing, was to write it down and really take a look at it and kind of interrogate the validity of doing something like this. The second thing was, start to look at very basic numbers. What would this mean? How would it work? And then from there, it kind of expanded into the beginnings of a business plan that I kind of went on to execute. I think it was clear. I didn't have a reputation. I didn't have capital myself. I didn't have revenue. So the primary route that I investigated was going to angel investors to seek the early stage of funding that the business needed. Also, there's another reason to go to someone rather than a bank. I think angels and VCs offer a great network, contributing their insights and their connections and their help to your business at every stage. So you get much more than just the capital. It entirely depends. So I wouldn't go into what equity I've parted with, but what I would say is that the more experienced you become, the less you need to give away, because the risk is different to the investor. You want to feel, it's a relationship, right? It's a financial relationship, but it's also a personal relationship. And you want to feel as though it's correctly set up. It's like a marriage, and a prenup doesn't always go down all that well. You need to have something so that, if there's a big success, then the investor and the entrepreneur share in that. Being an investor is hard work. I mean, being an entrepreneur is also hard work, but you have to get pretty engaged in these businesses, and you have to be, a real supporter of the people and the challenges, that are coming ahead. So I think it really depends on the business that you're in and what you're doing, how much of an expert you are and how experienced you are. But I don't think that giving away equity is certainly not a bad thing. You think about what you get back for it. It's not just, you're not giving away for nothing. I think brands are incredibly important, and I think our brand is very dear to us. It's definitely a reflection of the people in the organisation, but it's also somewhat owned by the community, by our customers. They interface with us and we talk about it, and I think it extends into everything. So a brand is a logo and a name, but it's also an attitude. It's an attention to detail. It's a design, and I think the key to really good branding is consistency. So, and it's about honesty as well. You can't pretend. You can't dress a bunch of people up in suits and pretend that they're, professional if they're not. If they're, if they do something else for a living. Similarly, we try and be, as a brand, who we are really as people. We're not lying about it. That's who we are. We're quite open about that. And I think that's the key. I think people, particularly in this internet world where there's no such thing as a secret, people will find you out if you're lying, and they'll blog about it. So you need to be really transparent and really open. And I think we've built a brand that is just that. And I think that's sort of what people like, and it's certainly what we're like. So that's, I think it's important to stay true to all of those values. There was an event I went to not too long ago that had a sign that had an arrow and had networking written over there. That's networking. People networking there. I don't know. Meeting people, exchanging stories in a non-forced and interesting way is great, and creating relationships is what holds businesses together. It opens opportunities. But I think, again, you need to be yourself. You need to be in an environment that's not designed for networking. I'm not sure whether that how fruitful that is. I mean, what we've tried to do at Moo is be a place that people can come and hang out. We do regular events, and there's no agenda, there's no nothing. We like having people around, we like meeting people. I mean, the UK is fantastically placed, I think, to get the best out of Europe. I mean, there's amazing opportunities for businesses to get together in London from all around. There's no work permit problems. People can come over all around Europe and get together and start businesses. I think it's a great environment for it. English is the international language of business, and London is a fantastic creative place for people to congregate and work and set up. The only real problem with it is it's quite expensive to live and quite expensive to rent office space. But thankfully that's about to change. I mean, the whole world may be collapsing, but what it does mean is that it'll be cheaper to get space, and hopefully that will be good for small businesses to find good space for them. The filter that we use for everything, and the word that we use internally is remarkable, which is a kind of funny word, and I often talk about it and people kind of double check to see what I'm talking about. But what it means is, it's something that's worth making a statement about. It's good enough that you'll tell someone about it. I think any business that wants viral traction, viral marketing, needs to make something that's going to enthuse the buyer or the customer enough so that they'll tell people about it and they'll do your marketing for you. So I think that's one of the major filters that we use, something that is the beginning of a story. And we have other things like quality and value and other kind of things and design, I'd say, that kind of are critical to anything that we do. But if you start with the premise that it has to be good enough so that someone will talk about it, it stops you from doing a lot of crap things. Not really. I mean, Moo's actually doing very, very well at the moment. I think we're very well placed to provide really high quality, valuable products for people in a credit crunch. We're not a luxury item. People don't look at the economy and say, oh, I'll do without business cards right now at this next sales meeting I'm going to. It would be ridiculous. They might do without the corporate company car or, a business class airline ticket or something, but I think they would struggle to survive without, the essential items. And actually what we're producing is extremely good value for money. So I think further focus on that and executing well, I think Moo's in a really good position. I think there'll be fewer small businesses on the market, true, but actually we're growing at such an accelerated rate anyway. I'm not sure that we'll feel too much of a pinch. Having said that, you have to be prepared.